Jimmy Kimmel got more bad news this week, as not only has his ratings dropped, his 1 week of enjoyed success after being suspended by his boss, not only has it dropped back to where it was, but it has dropped 85%. 85%. That is a catastrophic loss in viewership. Essentially what happened is people tuned back in and got reminded that he sucked balls. And then they tuned back out. We have all those numbers. And then his pathetic attempt to own Trump completely backfiring last night because the whole thing was a unmitigated disaster. Thanks to everyone who has picked up our coffee. It is available on Amazon with free overnight shipping. We roast our own stuff. We do everything from soup to nuts, packaging. We ship it there because you can get it faster. Our summer flavors are selling out fast. Our blackberry cream, our Tiger's Blood only has 7 left. Our fall flavors are selling out fast too. These are the spiked jack-o'-lantern and maple cream, all available in whole bean and ground. Obviously, we have our butterscotch, our unflavored coffees, K-Cups, everything there. Please check them out to support the channel if you happen to enjoy coffee. Jimmy Kimmel taunts Donald Trump after beating him in approval roll. Kimmel joked that Trump has lower favorability than Diddy. Does he? It's so funny when you look at how the mainstream media is desperate. Look, I just searched Kimmel, right? New York Times. Jimmy Kimmel says his numbers are better than Trump. Fox News. Kimmel nears pre-suspension viewership, sheds 85% of key viewers since hyped comeback show. USA Today, Donald Trump less popular than Kimmel. Rolling Stone, Kimmel celebrates beating Trump. The Guardian, Kimmel's more popular than Trump. Daily Beast, Kimmel taunts Donald Trump. The Independent, Kimmel trolls Trump. People.com, Kimmel reacts to Trump poll. The only people watching Jimmy Kimmel are the mainstream media. I just want to repeat that. The only people watching Jimmy Kimmel are mainstream journalists. Garbage peddlers, liars. There are literally hundreds of articles in every major news outlet. USA Today, The Wrap, People, Mashable, Late Nighter, IMDb, The Tartan, Parade Magazine. I mean, every episode, the entire force of what is left of mainstream media gobbles his knob, talking about how incredible he is. But the fact of the matter is, Americans have tuned out. And they're tuning out faster than he has to be in a full-blown panic. Jimmy Kimmel's ratings boom appears to be now circling the drain. Disney briefly suspended ABC's Jimmy Kimmel Live last month after the host's remarks about the assassination of Charlie Kirk sparked widespread backlash. Once Disney reversed course, the liberal comedian drew a massive audience for his much-hyped return on September 23rd. On Thursday, October 2nd, this is a week ago, Jimmy Kimmel Live averaged 1.9 million viewers, shedding 71% of the audience that tuned in for the host's return from suspension. The decline among the advertiser-coveted demographic, the only thing that really matters to these people, was even more significant. Jimmy Kimmel Live managed just 265,000 viewers from the critical group on Thursday night to lose 85% of the 1.7 million that tuned in just 2 weeks before. It marked Kimmel's smallest audience among the demo since the suspension. And at no point, by the way, at no point is this going to slow down. People tune back in and they're like, oh, yeah, this guy actually, I forgot, he sucks. He's unfunny. Nobody cares about Drumpf jokes anymore. Like, SNL is cooked if they don't find another beat. Jimmy Kimmel's the same guy that encouraged Diddy to run for president, by the way. He's talking about Diddy's approval rating. He told Diddy to run for president, and he loved going to his parties, I hear. ABC's Kimmel Live also trailed Fox News' Gutfeld across the board on Thursday. Gutfeld averaged 2.8 million viewers to top Kimmel by 50% and 370,000 demo viewers for a 40% edge in that category too. And remember, you have to pay to see Gutfeld's show. Kimmel found himself in hot water last month when he falsely targeted suggested that Tyler Robinson, the 22-year-old suspect in the Charlie Kirk assassination, was part of the MAGA gang, despite reports he had left-wing ideology, which reaffirmed in the indictment filed the very next day. We've hit some new lows over the weekend. We all know what he said. Obviously, Sinclair Media and two different networks pulled him. He was out in like 24 states. And even when they folded and brought him back, his viewership continued to tank. Think about that. Even with the full might of his viewership, it's still circling the drain. 85% in just 2 weeks now. Kimmel's brief benching caused outrage from the left, and hundreds of protesters demonstrated outside of Disney's location of Burbank, California, to demand Disney put Kimmel back on the air. Coincidentally, those are probably all of his viewers. You know, Kirk supporters panned Kimmel's non-apology, saying that ABC host failed to take responsibility for the falsehood. Kimmel is an unrepentant liar who tried to blame Charlie Kirk's assassination on the part of the country that just spent the last 2 weeks praying and holding vigils. Turning Point USA spokesman Andrew Colvett reacted. I mean, this show has to be absolutely hemorrhaging hash. Disney's fabulous Jimmy Kimmel's ratings returned to suck status. Far less fabulous Jimmy Kimmel ratings sucked before his suspensions, and his ratings have now returned to suck status. I mean, this is massive. If you look at this, over at NBC, Jimmy Fallon has driven the legendary Tonight Show off a cliff with only... Wait, let's go back here. For context, this week, after a post-suspension bounce, Kimmel's right back to those dismal numbers. Last Wednesday, according to Nielsen's latest numbers, Kimmel drew just 1.7 million viewers, which is actually lower than his sucky pre-suspension 1.77 million average throughout the second quarter. For context, over at Fox News during the second quarter, Greg Gutfeld was the top guy of all late night with 3.3 million total viewers, nearly double Kimmel. What's more, Gutfeld averaged those viewers on cable TV, which is available for far fewer homes than the ABC broadcast network airing Jimmy Kimmel Live. For even more context, during the second quarter of this year, Stephen Colbert averaged 2.4 million viewers, which is more than Kimmel, and yet Colbert's ratings are still so bad, the show is unprofitable. CBS canceled The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Over at NBC, Jimmy Fallon has driven the legendary Tonight Show off a cliff with only 1.18 million total viewers during the second quarter. Sure, the smug, dishonest Kimmel got a temporary sugar high from his suspension, but that's all it was. Even with some 6 million people tuning in, he's so unlikable and full of himself that he gained no new customers. They took him out for a drive, had no intention of buying an unfunny, divisive, hate-filled lemon. I mean, if you think about this, he is being humiliated by Gutfeld. And look, Gutfeld's also partisan, right? He's obviously a conservative guy. He hosts conservatives on his show. He's on Fox News, okay? But he can't even get half of Gutfeld's ratings. That has to be... When he sits at home at night and he like stares in the mirror and tells himself that he's funny, I just don't know how he swallows that. Greg Gutfeld doubles your viewers, and his viewers have to pay to see him. The question now is whether or not the Disney grooming syndicate renews Kimmel's contract, which is up this year. If Disney does offer this walking ratings disaster a new contract, it'll be just another form of left-wing affirmative action, from a demonic corporation more interested in stoking hate than making money. I mean, I could see Disney saying, well, we're going to keep Kimmel on and see if he brings over the 1 million people that watch Colbert. You know, that's arguably a reason to maybe keep him on. If Colbert has 2 million viewers, will those people... I mean, they're already choosing Colbert over Kimmel the way it is now. But if Kimmel's the only person left on air to affirm their Trump derangement syndrome, will they change a station and tune into Kimmel because they're just so used to watching late night television? It's entirely possible that they could talk themselves into keeping him. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say his firing is 100% certain. After all, if Colbert is reportedly losing $50 million a year over at CBS with 2.4 million viewers, how much money is Kimmel losing with just 1.7? But Disney hates normal people and probably gets some sort of bedroom charge out of insulting, alienating, and denigrating us. In their sick minds, that's worth losing $50 million a year. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, but he's still going to be half as popular as Greg Gutfeld. And Kimmel has the entire weight of the mainstream media. Here's a target. Jimmy Kimmel is doomed. This is an interesting article. Jimmy Kimmel is back. September 23rd marked his return to cable TV after being briefly suspended. However, the September 25th episode just reached 2.3 million viewers. He failed to retain over half of his riled fans. And those losers didn't just come from incidental viewers or extra demographical politic enthusiasts. The key demographic of the talk show is 25 to 54 age range, or the working adult. Fox News was among the first to report the 73% loss across the age group, 85% now. You know, the excuse for the stunt was always the late Mr. Kirk. We talk about that. Maybe this isn't as complicated as it seems. Over the course of his two-horse race, neither have retained a consistent audience. He's talking about Colbert and him. They had zero competition aside from each other for the better part of 15 years. But this is not tennis, and nobody's paying attention to their various Grand Slams, so to speak. The U.S. Open final, for instance, was the only interesting because the two best players in the world are up against each other competitively for the first time in months. Not so for warring television series, of which air most nights of the week and accomplish frighteningly little with that time. Speaking of time, time is money, and late night TV is disproportionately expensive. Bear in mind that the average episode consists of two people talking, film cameras and a band, and the audience. The audience, of course, pay them to attend. Celebrities and their agents are paid to speak, and rates mandated and enforced by SAG-AFTRA. While variable, it's not assumed to be a significant amount most of the time. Follow the money, and you'll find the real hemorrhage. Spoiler alert, it's Kimmel. To the tune of a cool $16 million a year. He signed this deal in 2022, presumably after the network saw his grossly inflated numbers during the lockdowns. It was easy to watch talk shows while stuck indoors all day long. Now that contract is in place, there's nothing the network can do other than fire him. I mean, you know, there was a choice. With Colbert gone, Kimmel could be the biggest fish left in late night pond. It was an opportunity too good to pass up, or once taken, too important to let happen organically. He needed media attention. Eyes will be on Jimmy Kimmel and ABC's late night coup d'etat. How easy would it have been for manufactured scandal, placing Kimmel in the limelight for a big return, to rope in as many people? But the people weren't held. In a week, it was over. Wrap it up. Late night TV. Shut off the cameras. It's been a good run. I mean, all he had to do was be funny, and he just wasn't interested in doing that. I mean, that's the biggest crime in all this. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure you leave a like on it. If you haven't yet, please subscribe or follow down below, and we'll talk to you again real soon.